Good morning, everyone. We are going to get right started with getting dinner in the crock pot. We're going to be doing 2 slow cooker recipes today. We're going to do dinner, and we're also going to do, I guess it's a dessert, or you'll see. You'll see what it is. Anyways, I've got a chuck roast in the crock pot, and I'm going to just season this with some salt, onion powder, and garlic powder, and feel free to add in some pepper if you like some pepper. Now, this is a pretty basic pot roast recipe, but because I was making this on the same day I was making the other recipe, I figured I might as well share it in the video as well. This video is part of Fall Food Friday, which is hosted by Fallon from Moss Family TV, so don't forget to check out her channel because she's awesome, and the playlist because there are lots of fall food inspiration from the last, I think this is week number 4, the final week, so there's lots of it in there. I have I think I did 5 carrots that I have peeled and roughly chopped. Now I'm just adding in a couple handfuls of these little potatoes. You can do like bigger potatoes and just cut them up, but I'm not going to cut these up because I think these are small enough. And then I've got 1 onion roughly cut into chunks. And then I've got some beef broth. This was left over from another time and I just froze it. It's still mostly frozen. I just ran the bag under warm water long enough to be able to get it out of here. But I have 2.5 cups about of beef broth, and then we're gonna add in a couple cups of water. You wanna make sure that the roast is fully covered, but it's kind of hard for me to tell right now because it is, you know, half the liquid is frozen. I think I'm just gonna do that for right now, and I can check on it later. And, oh, I think I forgot to add in, I wanna add in some Italian seasoning, if I can find it. Yes, we're gonna add in a little bit of Italian seasoning. And then we're just gonna leave this on low. I'm gonna probably do mine like 9 to 10 hours because it's partially, the meat was thawed, but not fully thawed. But the key to a good roast is low and slow and get it nice and tender. And we'll get on to the next recipe. All right, so now we are going to be making some slow cooker apple butter. I'm trying to not make really loud noise with the knife while I talk to you. We're going to peel and roughly chop. The recipe is for 6 pounds of apples, and it gives instructions like we would be canning it. I'm not gonna be canning this, so I just wanted to make enough for us to have. So I am cutting it in the recipe in thirds. So I'm doing 2 pounds of apples, and based on the recipe, which I will have linked below, it does look like you can do a variety of different kinds of apples. And because I'm not canning it, I don't want to do a lot, but also my husband I don't think has ever had apple butter, which was like a strange information for me to receive. I was like, how is that possible? Because we used to have apple butter a lot when I was a kid. If you've never had it, you can have it on, I don't know if I'm doing this the easiest way possible. You can have it on like yogurt, or you like to mix it in with like plain yogurt. And so, I don't know. He's never had it, and I'm not going, excuse me, I'm not going to be canning it and preserving it. So I figured I would just do a little bit, just enough. Hopefully it's just a little bit. I don't really know how to cut it in anything any smaller than thirds based on how the recipe is written out. So that's what we're going to do. Last year I made a pumpkin butter, which was really good. I will try to remember to find that link and link that in the description box below for you. It was really, really good. I used it the same way. It's really good, just like apple butter in yogurt, or it's also good on toast. That's really tasty. So I'm sure there's other ways to use apple butter. I guess you could look it up online. I don't know. I've always been yogurt or toast has kind of been how we always had it. But this is going to make my house smell amazing. The only downside is the smells might be competing because I have apple butter and pot roast going today, but that's all right. Okay, so that was harder than it should have been. I think I don't have a knife that's very good for paring because peeling and coring apples did not used to be a difficult task for me with using a knife. All right, so like I said, we're cutting this recipe in thirds, but I'm going to put in 1 cup of white sugar. I have to guess a little bit on the cinnamon because the recipe called for 2 teaspoons, but I'm cutting that in thirds, so we're gonna do a little less than 1 teaspoon. And then I am just gonna do a dash of salt because I don't think I can measure the amount that I needed. And then we're going to plug this in and put this on high for a few hours. And then we're gonna come back to it because it's pretty easy as far as this is all you have to do. But you gotta do some stirring and you gotta get the lid off at some point. So we will come back in just a little bit. Okay, so I think it's been about 5.5 hours and the recipe, oh my gosh, it smells so good. This is, I think, very similar to how you would do applesauce, but we're going to let this continue to cook with the lid off so that some of the liquid will evaporate. But and then we're gonna also just kind of stir this occasionally. I think the total process can take up to like 10 hours. That's my water heating up for my tea. I think it's like 10 hours or something altogether, so I don't know. So I've got that nice and stirred. We're going to leave the lid off and let that continue for, I don't know, a few more hours. I'll check the recipe again and check back in with you as we kind of go about it. And my pot roast over here is coming along pretty good. I'm making myself a cup of hot tea, which I don't do, well, I haven't done it a while. I do it a lot this time of year. Oops, did I just open my bag? I think we're good. This is a pumpkin spice tea. I'll show you the packaging and the brand. It's Herbal Cup, I guess is the brand. I don't know where I got this from. I usually get my tea either from Walmart, Aldi's, or Walmart, sometimes Lidl, or like Marshall's, which I'm guessing might be where this one came from. But I've got some pumpkin spice almond milk creamer from Aldi that I'm wanting to use. I've been trying it in my chai tea lattes, which has been good, but I think it's gonna be better in this. So I'm going to cover this and let it steep for about 5 minutes and then put some creamer in it and give it a try. I got this mug here at the Dollar Tree recently. I thought it was super cute. It's like a fall thing, but to me, like, I don't know, buffalo check is not just for fall. Counting your blessings is not just for Thanksgiving. All right, let's try some of this creamer. I love creamer in my tea. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I still buy creamer because I think it's good. In tea or hot chocolate. That can be really good too. So I'm just gonna scrunch down here because I don't wanna rearrange where the camera is, but definitely like this creamer. I love the almond milk creamer from Aldi. I have the vanilla all the time, but pumpkin spice, really good in this tea. And I don't need sugar or anything. The creamer's got plenty of sweetness. I should probably clean up that mess behind me, huh? All right, so we still have this going on high, and which says to stir occasionally to keep it from sticking. I did spray my crock pot a little bit before I put it in. But you wanna go until it's thickened and the liquid is absorbed and it starts getting dark brown. It's definitely getting dark brown, but there's still some liquid. And it says it can be 8 to 10 hours. So we're gonna still let this go for another couple hours and then we'll work on getting it nice and smooth. This is after, I think I got this in the slow cooker around 10:30 this morning and it's a little after 6:30. So I guess that's what, 8 hours. So we're getting there and it's smelling delicious. All right, so we're moving back to this pot roast and it has been about 9 hours. I've not even checked it once and I'm just going to remove some of the broth and we are gonna make some gravy. I'm trying to do this in like a really awkward way that like you can actually see on camera, but you get what I'm doing. I'm just ladling out some of this broth. We're gonna have to go back over to that roast in a little bit to shred it. Mine has a bone in it, so I will pull it out to get all of the meat off, although it looks like the bone's not even attached to the meat anymore. But we're gonna just heat this up. I mean, it's already heated up because I just took it out of the crock pot. But we're gonna whisk in a little bit of flour at a time, about a tablespoon at a time, until we get a nice little gravy. I think I'm also going to add in a can of corn to that pot roast as well, just because I like corn in my pot roast. I'm sure most of you have done this before, but you just do a little bit at a time, whisk out all the clumps, keep going. All right, well, my gravy is thickening up. I'm just getting these big chunks of onions out, and then I'm gonna take the meat out and shred it up. All right, so I spared you the details, but what I ended up doing was putting on some disposable gloves just to make it easier to grab, and pulled it apart because between working around the bone and trying to pull off some of those really tough pieces of fat, it was just easier that way. But veggies are tender, everything is good to go, and I've got my gravy over here, and we're gonna serve it up. And this, we're going back and forth here. The apple butter is still going, but you can see, well, maybe you can see, I can see that it's getting, definitely getting thicker. So probably when I'm done eating dinner, we'll come back and work on the next step for this. All right, here it is. Bon appetit. Looking forward to this one. I'll check back in with you shortly for the apple butter. All right, this is looking pretty good. I have to say, if I had vanilla ice cream in the house, I probably wouldn't go any further and I would just spoon this on top of vanilla ice cream. But we're gonna finish our apple butter. So it's thick enough from what the directions describe, and I'm going to just use my immersion blender right in here and blend this up real quick, but you can also just, you know, transfer it to a blender if you need to. All right, I'm gonna go clean this real quick before it gets crusted on, because then it's a pain in the butt to clean, so give me 1 second. All right, so the directions say that if it's not thick enough for you, you can leave it on low, uncovered, until it gets to your desired thickness. I think this is gonna be okay for me. Apple butter is supposed to be pretty, like, smooth, which this is, but I planning to use it either on toast or yogurt, and I think chunky apple butter is not a bad thing. But I did get it nice and smooth with that in just a few seconds. So I think this is good for me. I'm going to transfer this. I'm gonna have it in yogurt tonight, so I'm gonna sample it for you. If I was having it any other way, I would just use it right now while it's hot, but I'm going to get this cool down a little bit because I don't want to warm yogurt. I don't know if I've shown my face yet this video, but I am just got done trying the yogurt with the apple butter. Super good, very good treat. I personally like to do this with plain yogurt because I feel like the apple butter is so sweet, but I had a vanilla one open, so that's what I did. Very delicious. Pot roast was delicious. Both recipes were a hit for us today, so I will have both of those. Well, I don't know if I have a crock pot or the pot roast recipe linked because it's a pretty basic recipe, but I will have the apple butter recipe linked in the description box below for you. Just a reminder, I basically cut the recipe in thirds and wound up with, hang on. Wound up with a little bit more than what fits in like this jar. So anyways, make it for however much you want. But I don't have to preserve this. This will just sit in the fridge and we'll eat it before it goes bad. So it's not like I have to can it or anything. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're new, please consider subscribing before you leave. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to check out Fallon's channel down in the description box along with the Fall Food Friday 2021 playlist. There's a ton of videos, especially if you have not watched the previous weeks, because we just keep adding the videos to the same playlist. So there's like over 100 videos. So lots of fall food inspiration. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.